Strive for improvement, time for the blueprint. Minds to elevate, thrive, and demonstrate, planting a movement. Sow the seeds, educate the flourish, building up the team. Our network with purpose, industry is green. Won't scratch the surface, know this call is deep. Nobody gon' outwork us. Yeah, we chasing greatness, trying to give the code. Moving up with patience, foundation stone. Doing what it takes, we're here to break the mold. This for anyone who wanna level up, let's grow.
Welcome to another episode of the Plant Movement Podcast. I am your host, Willie Rodriguez, and today's a special day because we're ringing in episode 60. We want to thank you guys for all of your support and to all of the guests that have come on that have really made this podcast what it is today. We thank you guys, we love you, and let's continue making this beautiful green industry stronger. What better way to kick off episode 60 than with Eric Smith, FNGLA's past president and the national sales manager for BioSafe Systems. With that title, it explains it all. We love Eric and we've been planning this for a long time, and today's the day. And before we jump into the episode, let me tell you a little bit about who makes this all possible. If you're a landscaper that's scratching your head really trying to find product around the state, or if you're a garden center that your supplier is not coming through the way that you wish they were, give Ace Ornamental a shot. It's as easy as sending them a list or sending them a text message, 305-216-5320. Let them know that Willie with the Plant Movement sent you. So Eric, are you ready? Let's go, guys. Let's jump right in. Guys, we have someone special in the house for you today. We have Mr. Eric Smith. What's up, man?
Hey, good to see you, man.
This guy, I know you see him there. For you guys watching on YouTube, you're like, man, who's that guy? Eric touches so much, guys, and Eric has dedicated literally his whole life to the green industry and has been able to climb ladders that I know for sure that he thought that he wouldn't be able to climb. And he's been able to meet with people and just be a part of something that is bigger than anything that he could have thought of, going based off of just what he loves to do. And it's give back to the green industry at the end of the day. So, Eric, thank you for coming down.
Thanks for having me. This is a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this.
We've been wanting to interview you for a while, but you live in Tampa.
Tampa, correct.
Which is almost 5 hours away, guys, for you guys that aren't local. So the fact that he's down here for a few days doing some business tours. Mm-hmm. Teaching, schooling some people.
Yep, meeting with some of our grower customers. We've been working with a lot of the folks down here for several years. Mm-hmm. So we have a new rep in the area. I'm down here with her to meet with some of our existing customers and maybe some new ones. Yeah. And get her a lay of the land and see the beautiful industry that is homestead in the Redlands.
We should have thrown her on the podcast.
Yeah, she might pop in
next year. No, but it's cool, man. It's cool that you guys do these tours. You do this, you jump into sales because Eric works at BioSafe Systems that they touch a million things that we're going to get into. But Eric himself is a past president for the FNGLA, which is the board for the state of Florida for agriculture and horticulture. He's a past president, soon to be a triple pass.
Yeah. Has
been president. And it's just cool, man. It's cool that you take time to actually do this to give back. It shows where the community is for the industry.
I appreciate that. I was told a long time ago by some mentors of mine that, and I've heard this in other places too from other people in the industry, that you make a living, you take a living from the industry, you most certainly have to give back if you want to do the right thing and you live your life in that way. So that's kind of words I've lived by about, it's given me so much. I've had so much fun. I've met so many awesome people and seen so many awesome places and plants and all these different things. It's made my life a much better one. And so I have to give back. Yeah. And I got involved in FNGLA several years ago and ended up becoming the state president last year. And I'm the outgoing president this year, or past president, I should say. But no, it's been a great ride. I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
I could tell you made it to be a president.
Yeah, that was exciting times.
That's awesome. We're gonna get into all this stuff, Eric. Before we jump in, or let's jump in, starting with how'd you get into the green industry? Why the green industry? And then we go from there, because that's something that a lot of people aren't exposed to it. They might get in either from a parent or a relative or a friend's parent.
Yep, that was me. That was parents.
It was your parents.
My parents were green thumbs. My mom especially. She's always out there with the orchids and the foliage and the different things in Bradenton, where we grew up. Okay. And I was exposed to it then and didn't really know it at the time.
But no industry, like your parents weren't in the industry. They just loved plants.
She worked at nurseries from time to time when we were little kids. Okay. But then I went to UF and got involved. I was working at Big Trees Plantation
Okay.
Which
A plant nursery.
is a nursery, a tree farm.
A tree farm.
We did container trees, and I was working on the crew there, pruning and pulling weeds and all that stuff.
What made you want to get in there?
I had some friends that worked there, and they needed more help.
Okay.
I said, well, I need a job. I'll go pull weeds. I don't care. And so started doing that. Worked there for a couple of years on and off part-time. Really liked it. Really found kind of a niche that I liked on the nursery. And then when I graduated, I was in College of Ag at UF in soil science. And when I graduated, Ed Bravo, who's the general manager and owner of Big Trees, one of the owners, he says, well, I got a spot for you when you graduate. Come talk to me. And so he hired me on as the manager there, and I was there for
manager of outside manager.
No, I was running the office, but I was also running the fertilizer scheduling, the pruning scheduling, the weed pulling, the mowing. I was running a lot of the hats while Ed was doing more of the outside stuff with the landscape company we had.
Okay.
So he ran a lot of the landscape stuff, and I ran the nursery.
So you learned a lot there.
I learned a whole lot. And Ed,
that's cool that he gave you that opportunity.
Yeah, he was my mentor. Is my mentor. He's a great guy. I've learned so much from him. He's the reason I'm really where I'm at now in the industry.
Influence, that powerful
big time,
influence.
Big time. Great guy. Was there for about a decade overall. Then my wife and I moved to Atlanta for her job.
Okay.
Which I never thought I'd leave Florida, but here we are moving to Atlanta, Georgia. But
which is beautiful.
It was beautiful, yeah. We lived in a nice area, and we had a lot of fun up there. But then I got on what was was then John Deere Landscapes.
John Deere Landscapes.
John Deere Landscapes became Site One Landscape Supply.
Okay.
So when I was there, they had a big nursery, kind of a re-wholesale lot. So a landscaper could come in with their whole project list, pipe, lighting, fertilizer, block, sand, mulch, 4-inch liners, all the way up to 5-inch B&B trees. We had it all. And so I did that for about a year and a half, and we got an opportunity to move back to Florida, thankfully.
Okay.
But I stayed with Site One, started doing outside sales there, and then was presented with an opportunity with BioSafe in the summer of 16.
Okay.
And I've been with them ever since.
Talk to us. What is BioSafe?
So BioSafe Systems is a chemical manufacturer we do agriculture, horticulture, we do surface water treatments, but I run the horticulture division.
Okay.
So anything nursery, greenhouse, landscape, cannabis, CEA, indoor farming. We do some golf and turf stuff, but I oversee the horticulture division.
That's crazy.
Started as the Florida rep and then moved my way up. But we're a chemical manufacturer. We make algicides, fungicides, bactericides, insecticides that are mostly organic in nature. And so a lot of folks are looking to our sort of stuff because it has a low or no REI and all these different things. It's a novel approach to a lot of these chemistries that are, it's organic, but it's not grandma's secret recipe. This is commercial strength, EPA registered products that are used throughout the country in massive agricultural operations. Many of the growers here in Homestead use our products. That's why we're down here. But so we've grown considerably. It's our 26th year as a company.
Wow.
And so we've been doing it. This is a American story about bootstrapping it from nothing and starting this chemical company and growing it and reinvesting and growing it and reinvesting like you guys are doing. Similar.
Same scenario.
Yeah, same scenario.
That's business. Business is the same all around.
Yeah. The former president who founded the company, he recently passed away, Rob LaRose, but he saw an opportunity and thought he could take advantage of it and do something better. He was doing environmental cleanup. He was doing Superfund sites and remediating the soil, taking all these old legacy pesticides and awful things out of the soil and out of the water.
Oh, yeah?
His dad was a chemist and had this molecule that he was working on for disinfection. He says, this stuff kills fungi and bacteria and then dissipates and doesn't persist in the soil, and I don't have to clean it up 50 years later.
Wow.
It's like, we might be onto something here. And so that became one of our products, our flagship product, and then now we have several dozen products. And so 26 years later, here we are.
Wow.
So it's pretty wild story.
That's a wild story.
Yeah.
And you think of, the green industry, you think of horticulture. There's on top of the fact that there's so many things that you can get involved in, who would have thought that something so massive as a company like BioSafe, that so many growers rely on, and other people in other industries rely on, that started from some guy having a molecule of something.
Yeah. I said, wait a second, you have this that breaks down into water and air.
Yeah.
And here I am scraping the soil out at these sites that are 100 years old. That
trying to clean it.
Yeah.
Which it'll never clean.
Which, yeah, I don't even know how they do that.
So do they have actual laboratories?
Yep, we're headquartered in East Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
That's where the family's from. That everybody's still up there. We have our offices there. We have an R&D laboratory there as well. So we have 3 different office buildings there in a complex. And then we have manufacturing sites in 4 different locations across the U.S. Wow. So all of our stuff is made in the U.S.
Okay.
Michigan, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. But yeah, we have R&D lab with research staff and all the chemists and the plant pathologists. We have several PhDs on staff that help develop new products, new applications, new rates, new this, new that, new targets. And then those hopefully at some point become a new product or a label amendment for an existing product, new application, new crop. You know, we're finding new opportunities, a lot like you guys are doing. I love watching it. We're finding new opportunities all the time.
That's awesome
as well. And so
when you have people on staff that their job is to create, you get that creative mind, and then you get things like that happens, and then problems arise, and you speak to the right people, and it gets in their ears, and then they instantly turn on a light bulb of how we're gonna make this, how we're gonna dissipate this matter. And then when you get in the mind of a scientist, like me, I'm not a scientist, but I get in, let's say, to jump in their head, there's just so much going on in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot
and
of
it's a different language.
In the fire.
It's a different language than what most of us are used to, but it's very interesting and very cool. We need you guys more than we think, as growers.
Yeah, it's tough to grow crops, clean. There's weather, and everybody knows the agricultural and horticultural problems. There's water treatment, there's foliar disease, soil disease, insect pests. There's always something when you're trying to grow crops, no matter what it is. You're growing corn, it's one thing. Poinsettias, orchids, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be problems, and so we're trying to address those problems just in a more ecologically sound way, less residuals, less REIs, different things like that. So we try to take a novel approach.
So it's more like organic, but not 100% organic.
It's most of the products are OMRI certified for organic use, so we have the official stamp of approval. But about, call it two-thirds to 70% of our customers are conventional growers.
Okay.
So they don't need the organic certification. They just like having it because it lends itself to the safety of the product, or maybe for their employees.
100%.
If you don't have a 48-hour REI for a product, and you can get in there and pull those weeds, or sell the plants, load the plants, do all the things.
Which for someone that might not know what that is, on traditional chemicals that you spray, guys, for bugs or anything like that, there's a 48-hour. Some of these labels have a 24, 48-hour, even longer time that you have to quarantine that area. No one's allowed to go in because these are strong chemicals.
Yeah, you see,
and with them it's less.
A lot of ours are 0 or 1.
1 hour?
Yeah. The most we have is a 4, because
4
insecticides, I think by law you have to have a 4 at minimum. So we have 4 on those. But yeah, other products are 4, 8, 12, 24, 48. And so something we talk about a lot is time is so valuable for everybody. As we were talking about before the show. What can you do with that time if you didn't have to restrict that area for a day or 2?
Yeah.
You got a lot of moving parts. You got a lot of things you want to do. What if somebody calls, you want to sell those plants? Oh, sorry, I just treated them. I can't sell them.
And that's it. They're on to the next one.
Yeah, then they're calling your competitor, and you go, well, I lost the sale. And
No, but
my 5,000.
No, but that's a huge player. In what you guys, like you, let's say, what your head of sales for the eastern side,
for the nation,
just
for the horticulture.
That's
division.
it, just the nation.
Just the
that's nothing, Eric. We'll be here. We'll go out and waste some more of your time after this. No, but like you think about that as a grower, there's so much lost opportunities that could be had from that. Let's say you have a 2-acre nursery or a 5-acre nursery. You're a smaller guy, and you spray half of your farm. That's it. You're basically done. You can't even be there.
Yeah, depending on the product, you might not be able to.
You might not be able to
suit up in a Tyvek or whatever the PPE statement might say.
Yeah, but even then, you're not even supposed to grab the plant, put it on a truck, and move it or nothing like that. It grabs your arm, it touches your arm, you touch your mouth, and now there's problems that can happen. And we are in the United States, so problems do occur.
Problems happen.
And they get worse if you don't attend to them.
Oh, for sure.
But it's very interesting. So do you think, something that comes to mind for me, do you guys see with the testings that you guys have been doing, that the effective, let's say the product is as effective as someone else that's doing something with harsher products?
Yep, we see a lot of that. We do a lot of heads-up testing with synthetic chemistries or other organic chemistries and whatever the other options might be. We test against a lot of those. And then we do that in university research trials. We're active with UF and several other land grant schools across the U.S. But yeah, there's a lot of those heads-up trials to see, are we as good, which is where we want to be,
or better,
or better, right? Obviously, we want to be better, but if we're as good as some of the conventional products, which work really well, but they might have an issue one way or the other with the REI or this or that, you don't know. But if we can have an organic approach that's EPA registered,
it's preference. It's preference at the end of the day for, let's say, us growers that don't grow edibles,
right?
At the end of the day, it gives us that opportunity to choose.
Yep.
And I like that. You guys also do something with water. Talk to us about that. What do you guys do with the water?
So we have what I call the three-legged stool, is crop protection, facility sanitation, and water treatment.
Okay.
And through those categories, we can address pretty much any problem that you might have at the nursery, at the greenhouse, at the farm. And so one of those being water treatment is we will do, with certain products of ours, like a Sanidate, sometimes it's erythritol, but we can inject that into the water, into the irrigation system. And if you're pulling from a well, or there's mostly wells down here, so you don't see a lot of ponds, but it's more prevalent in surface waters where you have to treat that water because it'll have pythium or phytophthora or algae and different things in it.
Now you're
spreading so we can treat
everywhere.
that way. Now you're irrigating with that and wondering why you're having problems with disease in the crop. So we can treat that. So down here there's more wells. In Florida in general, there's more wells than ponds. But we can still do that to prevent algae and biofilm growing in the lines and then therefore going onto the crop, because the biofilm in the line, and we could talk about biofilm for hours, I could nerd out on that, but that grows in the lines.
What's biofilm? Tell us what that is.
Biofilm is a bacterial matrix that grows wherever there's water flowing.
Is that the green algae that's stuck in the PVC pipes that clogs our heads?
The algae will grow alongside of it.
Okay.
But a lot of what you'll see is biofilm, and that's a polysaccharide exudate.
Like the booger?
Yes, the snot.
The snot.
You'll see if you make a repair and you wipe your finger, then you'll see it'll be orange or brown or gray or green. Depending on fertilizer, it can change colors. Depending on the bacterial matrix, it can change colors. But algae will be with that as well, and it makes kind of like a safe harbor for pathogens.
Okay.
And so you can have pythium and phytophthora and fusarium and all these different pathogens living in the irrigation system, that every time you run the water, you're inoculating your crop with pythium, with fusarium, with phytophthora, and on and on and on, and algae.
This is so cool.
And so you don't realize that. And we use the term out of sight, out of mind, because people will spray and they'll do this and they'll do that, and they'll never consider what's inside the pipes. And because you saw the color and the snot, when you make a repair, you unclog a head and you go, oh, what's all this stuff? Well, fair chance is there's a disease organism in there. And now you're inoculating, and then you're spraying, and then you're inoculating, and you're spraying. And so you get this whack-a-mole. And so we can address that by cleaning out the irrigation system itself.
How do you do that? Like for me, cleaning out the irrigation, which is something that I do, is we take off all the heads and we turn on the pump, we rev it, and we
just pressure,
and we blow out everything, and then that's it. And then, but there's other ways of treating it.
Yep, because that can remove a lot of the loose organic matter that's in there, slough off some or maybe most of it, but. We will inject one of the chemicals with an Anderson injector, a dosatron. There's lots of brands.
Which is
that
this
do
injecting it into the main pipe. The main pipe, you would have to get a fitting, a T fitting.
Yeah, an injection quill.
Or injection, you screw it in and then you put it into there.
Okay. You can inject it in there. You let it sit overnight, and then the next day you come run the irrigation system, and most of the time you're astonished at what comes out. You go,
so you actually see what comes out?
Oh, you'll see all sorts of different colors and shapes. And
come out of the actual sprinkler heads?
Or you take some of them off so you can, a lot of times there's a lot of organic matter.
Yeah, a lot of green.
That polysaccharide exudate, that snot or that algae, it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And so usually we have a flush valve, or we take some of the heads off so we can remove all that material and not try to shove it through a mist nozzle.
Yes.
That's a big
then it clogs.
Yeah, and then you're clogging everything.
Drip irrigation, whatever.
Yeah, drip, those types of things, low flow. But definitely, people that take the time to do that, maybe it's once a year, every other year, it doesn't matter, but that's a big help. We do that kind of stuff to treat the system itself, just the the pipes and the valves and all that stuff.
Yeah, but I see so much value.
Yeah.
I see so much value because the customers you're coming to see right now, regardless of who you are, whether you have $15,000 in inventory or you got $100 million in inventory, like think about the value that they bring. You're there hitting your head, saying, man, I got this fungus and it doesn't go away, and you're spraying this and you're spraying that, which is labor and cost of products and all of this stuff, and you're mixing this with that, and the plant at the end of the day is suffering, and all it is backtracking, speaking with them that it's so cool that you guys have that service that someone can come out, tailor it to you, check everything out, and say, no, look, the problem is here. Yep. This is where the problem starts. And I don't know. I just think that's awesome. Not everybody has that.
We do a lot of that.
Not everybody has that. And then like chemical company that does water treatment, there's not a whole lot that specialize in it in a manner that they say it.
Right. We've been, like I said, we're 26 years into this, and so we have a lot of experience in different parts of the country, different crops, different systems, because there's really no cookie cutter approach. You get on site, you get the lay of the land, you see where the valves are, the systems, and how everything's flowing. So we do that on site. We're very keen on being on site and helping the growers. And then we would ideally clean out the system like that, and then we would inject at a very, very, very low rate just to keep the pipes and the water clean after that. And you can run that over top of the crop for bacterial control, something like a Sanilate 12. We have a lot of problems with bacteria down here, so we got a lot of big growers that are chemigating Sanidate maybe once a week. They'll put a spray of it out through the overhead, blanket, treat the crops, kill a lot of the bacteria. Now you don't have the disease problems pop up because you're in a way sanitizing the plant. You're removing all the inoculum every so often, and then when the conditions are favorable, it can't become the disease problem and show the spots and the wilting and those types of things. So think
that's
about
what you're seeing now.
Yeah, we do a lot of that.
But I'm saying, like right now, you're down here now. Are you here to just shake hands, say hello, or you're here to actually look at some issues and come up with solutions?
We're looking at existing systems that we work with, and then some new folks that are, now it's kind of the downtime to a degree, right?
Yeah,
all the shipping's
planting.
done, right? So more people are kind of preparing for the next spring crop or whatever they're growing. So now's a good time to have these conversations with folks about, hey, we can do this in the fall and then get you through next spring, and you'll see your bacterial pressure go way down. Instead of spraying all these coppers and these different things, we can automate all that with your irrigation system. So now you don't have to have a spray tech dragging a hose twice a week trying to beat these diseases. You can use your irrigation system, which is already bought and paid for and built for coverage of all your acreage. We can use that to our advantage and use that to apply the chemistry, and we can do 20 acres in 20 minutes.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Talk to us about that. So that's something that I have set up at one of my farms, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
To, like, let's say what's known as a drench, we drench it all quick. Talk to us about that, because that's something cool that not too many people offer. A service where you guys come down and actually put it together and make it happen. Yep.
We don't do the install itself, but there's other irrigation contractors and stuff like that do locally. But we would supply the chemistry through a distributor, maybe even a pump, or just depends on what size pipe they're using. A 2-inch pipe's can be different than an 8-inch, and the flow rates and all those things. But what we would do is kind of size the system, flow rates, pipe size, number of heads, things like that. What's their problem? What's their crop that they're growing? Is it hibiscus and mandevilla? Is it this? Is it that? Is it mist? Is it overhead? So there's a lot of variables that we have to account for. So we're very thorough with that. But then it's a matter of kind of seeing what the grower's needs are. Obviously, is A1. Hey, we have bacterial pressure in hibiscus. Okay, well, let's look at this. Let's go to your pump, check out what you got. And sometimes it's just as simple as installing an injection point with a simple pump
that feeds it.
That feeds it in, and then whenever you want, you go flip the switch. You set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Leave the water on for an hour, but you pump it for 10.
Yeah, you would do it on the back end so you don't rinse it off, because it's non-residual and there's no rinse. So you would do it, if you're irrigating for 30 minutes, you would only run it for the last 7 to 10 minutes. And you do that once a week, once every other week, depending on the pressure of the season. But that's really automating your spray program to a large degree. And that's just with our chemistries. You can do that with insecticides and other products. You do the fertilizers. Obviously, there's people that fertigate.
The liquid fertilizer.
Yep. That's definitely a possibility with these same types of setups. So it becomes very versatile. And then from a lot of what we talk about is labor savings, because labor's an issue, with talking to your folks and all the people you interview and all the growers down here and everywhere.
Everyone,
everywhere.
Labor.
And so labor is a big thing we talk about. And if we can automate a large percentage of your spray program from a disease perspective, what's that worth?
Yeah, we have two sprayers. The guys they spray all day, just plants, and then we have 3 guys that spray weeds all day. So that's 5 guys, 10 hours a day,
just spraying.
it adds up. It
Oh,
adds up
definitely.
big time. And then also another thing too, like when you're spraying, you got the blower and then you got the actual spray gun. The way that shoots out 40 feet is through pressure. So you're wasting chemicals like crazy.
And the drift.
Yeah. So this right here not only just saves you in labor, but it also saves you in the cost of the material, I'm assuming, as well. Because
Yeah.
you can run it concentrated.
Yeah,
Right?
they'll
Direct from the
pump-
bottle.
Yeah, they'll have a drum or a tote sitting there.
Yeah.
And
It's not
they can-
diluted.
They can pump straight, so there's no mixing and handling. And did you get the mixture right or any of that kind of stuff? You can pump the concentrate right into the irrigation
Right
system
into it.
at a certain rates, and we
Yeah.
develop the
Yeah, yeah,
rates and
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And you send it out, and 10 minutes later, there's no more bacteria, or very few compared to where there was before. And then a week later, maybe you do it again.
Yeah.
It's a way. The easy way to think about it is kind of like sanitizing your hands. During flu season.
Yeah.
You do that to remove the inoculum on
Yeah.
your hands, right?
Okay.
So hopefully then you don't get sick.
You don't pass it
Well,
on.
we're doing the same thing on the plants. It's the easiest way to think about it. Every so often, you take away the inoculum in the crop, and it can't build up to become a disease outbreak. So you do that just often enough, but we can do that. We can automate that through your irrigation system and in an organic matter with no REI.
Yeah.
So the worker safety things, the environmental safety things, everything BioSafe that we want to be as a company, it's all right there.
It's so cool, man. It's cool that from an idea that let's say the founding father thought of, and now it's becoming something that you guys are creating solutions for so many
Yep.
across the country. And then aside from that, offering all these tailored services that can help people even more. And then from there, you just go down the ladder. One of the largest, let's say the industry's most intimidating, let's say, sides of the industry that we talk about that is obtainable is being a nursery grower. Because there's so many variables that go into it. And like, look at what has been created with BioSafe. You guys are a whole organization, a whole company that's nationwide based off of a bacteria. So think about just all the opportunities that people can have into this. And from there, I want to go into you as I know you represent BioSafe today, but you're also Eric Smith, and Eric Smith brings a lot to the table. And there's a reason why you hold the chair that you hold at BioSafe. And talk to us about how you jumped into, we talked about your career, but how you got into now what is the FNGLA, and tell us about that, because that's an organization in itself that was built for the industry, agriculture and horticulture, created from people that were passionate and love what is horticulture and agriculture for the state of Florida, knowing that we are who we are here in Florida. Tell us about that.
Well, that's a great segue, and thank you.
Thank you, man.
But no, when I was working at the tree farm at Big Trees in the mid 2000s, Ed Bravo, who was the GM there, he was very active in the local chapter, the Front Runners chapter of FNGLA, and I tagged along with him to a board meeting one time. And as I'm touring the nursery, driving around on a golf cart while the older guys are having the meeting, they voted me onto the board.
Is that easy?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
just
wasn't in
show
the
up?
room, right? Yeah, voluntold kind of thing. But I took it as a challenge and as something that I wanted to take on and experience.
How old were you?
That was in 2007, so I was
Okay.
26.
Okay.
And I got to meet a lot of very interesting and successful people that had been in the industry and helped not necessarily pioneer the industry, but shape it and develop it and get it where it is and where it was at the time and where it is now. I met a lot of these, in our world, they were famous people, that had run very successful nurseries or landscape companies, had been in business for decades, and these people thought highly enough of me to put me on the board of directors. Maybe they just wanted to fill the seat. I don't know.
No, they saw something in you for sure, dude.
I went from that and got involved in the chapter leadership of Front Runners when I was still there at Big Trees, and I became the chapter president.
Okay.
I was the state board rep. I did all the different things, planned all the events, scheduled the speaking engagements and the sponsors and the site visits and all those different things.
You were very involved.
I was very involved. I had every chair as an officer at the chapter level.
Okay.
And then we moved away, so that kind of derailed a lot of that stuff. And when we came back, we moved to Orlando, my wife and I, so I became involved in the Action Chapter,
Okay.
which is Apopka, Orlando, Central Florida, a lot of foliage growers there, indoor foliage capital of the world, is Apopka for sure. But so I got involved in the Action Chapter. That's all I knew to do. is now I'm with BioSafe, and all I know to do is go get involved in FNGLA and meet people, right?
Okay.
Be proactive, go shake the trees, make some new friends, and that's what I did. So I got involved in Action Chapter. Met a lot of awesome people there, and families, family businesses, multi-generate, just awesome people there. Can't speak highly enough of all these folks, really. But then we moved from Orlando to Tampa. So now what do? I get involved in the Tampa Bay chapter. Same type of thing. Meet some new people, get involved, see what's going on. That's all I know to do, right?
Well, for you, agriculture, you think of agriculture, horticulture, you think of, I have to sit on this board.
Well,
it goes hand in hand.
To me, it's involvement. You know, you and I were talking about this earlier, but being involved is just so crucial to do things, to share your ideas, to help with things, help in the community, help the industry. I mean, if you really love the industry and you make a living from it, you should give back in some form or fashion. And whether that's taking a participation on the local board, at the state level, on the committee, volunteering at the plant sale that the chapter puts on. There's so many different ways to get involved. And that's just what I was doing. I knew, you know, with Ed Bravo being my mentor, who became state president several years later. He's number 66.
Wow.
So he was 5 years ahead of me. But that's all he did. He knew to get involved and helped, and he shaped a community. And so that's kind of all I knew to do, was just to get
he was
involved.
your mentor. Yeah.
And so then I'm on my third chapter now. I'm in Tampa Bay chapter. I was front runners, Gainesville, Ocala area. And then Orlando, which was Action Chapter, and now we moved to Tampa because I'm originally from the Bay Area, from Bradenton. So we're kind of moving home with our new kids, and so we got involved in Tampa Bay Chapter and doing some things there. Great people there as well. You know, every chapter has its own mix of landscape versus nursery versus greenhouse. You know, it just depends on the area. But Tampa Bay Chapter is good people, a lot of high quality landscapers, a lot of growers there. So become good friends with a lot of those folks. And during this time, I was being courted to become a state officer. You know, Ed and several other people were knew that I could take that on eventually.
What's a state officer?
So the state, you know, the chapters have their officers, their board of directors, their local boards, their local officers, you know, vice president,
In the
secretary.
counties.
Yeah, in the chapters. And then at the state level, there's the state board of directors.
It's just a big one that oversees everybody.
And then there's the state officers, the secretary treasurer, who right now is Marcelo Lucio from Silver Vase Orchids. President-elect is Philip Heisey from Gruber McNeil in Ocala, Earthscapes. And then the current president is Phil Buck from Yellowstone Landscape, formerly Crawford Landscape in Naples.
Wow.
And I'm the past president. So this is my 4th year of the officer's role in executive leadership. I'm the past president. So
Talk about famous people. Let me shake your hand
Yeah.
one more time. Eddie, you got to take a good picture of me and him together.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been very rewarding. I got asked a couple times to do it, and I had to turn it down because there was a very real possibility that my wife and I were going to have to move again to another state for her job.
Okay.
And so I didn't want to commit to something that's kind of a 4-year plan and then have to jump ship in a year or two. I just didn't know. The uncertainty was really haunting that. And
this is not a role that you can just, you know, kick in the wind. This is something that you got to take serious.
Yeah, it's very serious. It's highly involved. You know, we're traveling to Washington, D.C. We're traveling to Tallahassee to meet with senators and legislators and you know, share our issues and hopefully influence different things of what, you know, in different legislative pieces or you know, support for the industry, right? The motto of the industry of FNGLA is to protect and promote Florida's green industry. Yeah. And so sometimes it's promoting and it's op-eds and
but like
things, and sometimes it's protecting in the government.
I want you guys to understand Mr. Eric Smith. So Mr. Eric Smith was the president for 4 years of the largest association for one of the largest industries in the state of Florida.
1 year.
For 1 year? It was 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Officer for 4 years, but you're only president for
1 year. So think about the responsibility he has. Okay. And then he gets to go meet with people, talk with people. You got to meet other people that do the same thing that you do in another state as well. But Florida is obviously the capital.
The biggest. FNGLA is the biggest state growers association for horticulture in the
U.S.
nation.
In the nation. And you got to be the president for that 1 year.
I was the president of that for 22 into 23, from July to June of 22 to 23. I was the president of FNGLA. Very rewarding, very challenging at times. We had a big hurricane, and so we had to muster a lot of resources and effort there following Hurricane Ian in Southwest. That was a tough one. We had the election. We had a lot of other things going on that were difficult at times, but again, very rewarding, very challenging. Met so many awesome people and got to do so many awesome things. I would do it again. I don't think I can do that. I think there's rules against that. But eventually, maybe when my kids are older, because it was tough having.
No, but I'm sure there's other positions you can fill.
Yeah, I'll be involved in the local chapter for some time. But it's very rewarding. Yeah, FNGLA is the largest, like I said, the largest state nursery and green industry group in the country.
No, and FNGLA does so much. Me sitting on the board too, down here, the Miami-Dade chapter is something that I've got to just see what it is to be more involved in the green industry, not just involved for, let's say, for the people that fall under me or my clients or my customers or, anyone like that, friends. It's different. This one hits a little different because you don't know who it is that you're helping, but you know that you're going to help a lot of people. And that's one place that I want to be.
Yeah, it's been very rewarding. I mean, from a personal and professional standpoint, just the people you meet and the experiences, but then, career development, networking, business opportunities, things like that. The more you talk to people, and they say there's kind of 3 kinds of luck, and one of them is the luck of impact. The more things you do, you run into. I believe in that very strongly. And the more things you do, the more opportunities are going to bubble up, right? Yeah. And so when you're going to these meetings or going to these events, the trade shows, you guys have been to the landscape show, you've been to TPIE, did an awesome job with the videos and the compilations. I love it.
That's Eddie. If you guys haven't been to one of those plant shows, you guys are missing out.
Oh, big time.
100%. So the landscape shows in Orlando, Orange County Convention Center, and then TPIE is finally back in Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Which has a lot of people happy. That's where it was, and then it moved to Tampa, and now it's back at Fort Lauderdale. And these shows, guys, are shows. Imagine the largest association in the United States for horticulture puts on a show. What do you think it's going to be? I think it's going to be massive. What was the turnout? 180,000, 60,000 people?
No. We don't get to those numbers, but you're looking.
But over the 3 days?
Total, you're looking at about 10,000.
10,000 people. I would say maybe even more.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just so many people. There's so much going on.
I think we get more walk-ins. I don't think we ever get an exact number.
Okay.
But it's several thousand.
Yeah, because people buy a ticket and it's good for the 3 days and all that.
Right.
But guys, everything under the sun that is horticulture, everything under the sun. I'm sure there's things that aren't there, which is great to see. You can go on the website and you can see who was there and see if you'll be by yourself there. You have a bigger opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
But you can mingle. You're talking lingo that is industry-based. You're gathering up information on what can better help you or better help your client, what systems you can implement into what you're doing to buy you that time back. People like what he does, Mr. Eric, at BioSafe, now you get to meet a company that can actually come out and make an impact, make a difference on your whole crop. I don't know. There's just, the options are endless there at the FNGLA shows.
The educational experiences there, the knowledge college and the different things they do.
There's
tours,
classes, right?
There's so much to do and see. The trade show floor is amazing, and it's just one component of it. And you have new product, things and showcases, and then the educational component is a big deal to get your CEUs, learn new opportunities, learn different nuances of business or new plant variety. There's so many things to learn and do. It's extensive.
Where can someone go to do those classes for the show? So when the show comes in, you go to fngla.org, right?
Yep, fngla.org.
fngla.org. You can find out when the next show is, which is the Orlando show, the landscape show. It's mid-August.
Yep.
You can sign up for the classes there. Are there classes that are given throughout the year that we don't have to wait for a show to go to?
There's some more for the FNGLA certifications, certified horticultural professional. There's several
Where
others.
would someone go to be able to do that? Because there's someone listening right now that they look at August and they're like, man, August is a lifetime away.
Right.
I want to learn this stuff right now. Where can someone go right now to learn about that, to then sign up for those courses?
You could go to the website, fngla.org, or the landscapeshow.org. I believe the show has its own, but they all will feed to each other.
Okay.
For all the certifications for leveling up your business and promoting your people and building the team, you can get these certifications that are widely recognized for landscape contracting and all these different things, bid projects and whatnot. That's all on the website. And then from there you can see as they get closer to the show itself, they build out the full kind of portfolio of speakers and educational opportunities. So right now, that's probably pretty close to being done, I would imagine.
Do they do the
Going
same?
there. There's
do-
dozens of
Do
classes.
they do the same class? Like let's say, because there might be someone listening that right now has 10 employees. That they're like, man, I want all my 10 employees to be certified in everything the FNGLA has to offer. Let's say there might be that guy. Do they do the class? That's that one class. They offer it multiple days.
Yes.
The same class, so he can do 5 guys. Hey, you 5 go on Thursday, and hey, you 5 guys are gonna go on Friday. That way he can keep on.
For the certifications, they can do it online. And
They can do
they
it
have
online.
some in-person stuff, some live training and scoring and things like that, depending on which certification you're going after. If it's landscape technician and things like that, irrigation technician, there's definitely a hands-on
So there's all
component.
of that.
And they go around the state. Mary Mott and Gary Wiederman travel the state with the road show, as we call it,
Okay.
and they'll set up a shop with now 50 people are coming to get certified at this location at South Dade High School. We're going to
Okay.
have we're using their parking lot or whatever it is. They'll travel around the state. They'll come to your business and do this. But then, for the horticultural professional, the FCHP as we call it, that can be done online. You can buy the book, study at your leisure, take the test whenever you want. But at the show itself, that's not so much for the certifications, although they count towards your CEUs will count towards those. It's more individualized topics. It's not the general certifications to level up with those certifications. It could be talking about employee retention. It could be talking about pest and disease control. It could be talking about pruning techniques. It could be talking about all these different labor. There's so many different topics. The palette is pretty wide there. So
Just imagine.
the show educational classes are kind of separate than the certification components.
Okay.
But they mesh well together. Like I said, there's lots to learn at these shows. If you haven't been to either or show, you really are missing out.
Yeah. Even if you just like plants, you should definitely go. If you want to get a creative, let's say spark, you go there and something will definitely spark because there's just so much
There's
creativity
just so much. You can't help but be shocked at the beauty of all the plants walking through those facilities
can't.
at either show.
there. I freak out when I geek out.
Same.
Every time I go there, I just love it, man.
So at FNGLA, we might get a new member, a prospective member that calls up and says, "Hey, everybody wants it. What's in it for me? What's the fast thing, real quick? What am I going to get out of this? Right? I'm investing some time, some money. What am I going to get out of this?" And so something we've kind of coined the phrase is not necessarily return on investment, because that's kind of paints the wrong picture. So we say return on relationship, because the strength of the networking and the people that you meet, the opportunities that then are presented because of that, that's where we see a lot of return.
Oh, wow.
And so it's not, don't think of it as like, oh, I'm going to get this ROI on my $300 that I spent, or my $800, my fee, whatever. But the return over time on those relationships, the people you meet, hey, I got this land for sale. You looking for land? Or, hey, I'm selling this tractor. I'm selling this sprayer. This guy needs a job. He used to spray tech. All these things that bubble up and come to fruition, and just by talking to people, a lot like what you guys do on the show here, develop and discover opportunities and network with people. That's exactly what this is for. The association works in a lot in the same way, in that there's not this instant gratification thing, which everybody's so used to now, right? But that the time put in and giving back to the industry, develop these relationships that they've changed my life times 10 for the better. So I'm a huge fan of it, but I've seen it play out not just in my eyes, but in all parts of the state, from Jacksonville to Miami to Tampa to Naples, all around the state. I've seen these stories. I know a lot of these people who've become involved at some form. You don't have to become president like I did. I took it to the top. But a lot of folks have found their voice or more opportunities than they really knew existed. They just didn't know. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, well, we don't know a lot of things.
Right.
But let's say you get influenced by it.
Yep.
You hear something, you're like, oh my gosh, and it sparks something inside of you. You could be sitting next to a guy that is a landscaper, and you could be a tree farm guy, and you know that he needs to pass code, or maybe he's a builder. To pass code, he needs 5 trees. At least that's how it is here in Dade County.
Oh yeah.
So now you make a connection, and now you found the guy that has the trees, and now you guys are growing together.
That's exactly right.
There's a lot of that goes on, and that's just this industry in general. We are like born hustlers in this industry.
Oh yeah, you gotta be a hustler. You gotta be tough if you're gonna be in farming, of any kind.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you're growing hibiscus
you
or
have to.
corn, it doesn't
You gotta
matter.
be a hustler. One thing is that you're almost obligated to become a salesman if you're a grower, and if you don't have that trait, you're gonna suffer. and I've seen people like that. But
Agree.
the sales thing is where it's at with being a grower.
Yeah, it's a live good. It's only good for, it's only alive for so long as you care for it, and you got to move those products, right? You have different crops, different times of the year to cycle those things. So being a hustler and finding opportunities, that's a big deal, and there's a lot of them with our association and our industry in general. I mean, it's full of those people, to your point,
100%.
of just people trying to
Hustling,
make things happen
ambitious.
and get things done, and it's exciting. I love it.
I love it too,
I
man.
can be in this hopefully for the rest of my life.
For the rest of your life.
know?
When you die, we'll put you there, your ashes there at the FNGLA office. We'll plant a tree.
The biggest damn oak tree you ever seen.
Heck yeah. We'll put BioSafe injections on it, bro. You'll come back to life. The tree will start talking. Oh, man. So you have been involved. I have two questions for you.
Sure.
You have climbed to the top of an association for an industry, for a state, man. That is a big thing to try to achieve. What made you want to go after that? Because that's something big.
Yeah, I saw, getting involved at the chapter levels and seeing how things kind of ran locally, and then being a part of the state level, just as a state board rep, because every chapter has one, seeing kind of the bigger picture and what goes on and how they go to Washington to, literally have meetings with the U.S. senators at the table and figure things out. And the people in Tallahassee, Jim Spratt, our lobbyist for Magnolia Strategies, does a fantastic job in Tallahassee for us. So going up there, working with him to figure things out in Tallahassee, I wanted to do that. I wanted to kind of put my hands around it, make my...
You saw yourself doing that?
Yeah, I could see, I thought it was fun. It's I care about the industry. I want to give back. Well, how better to give back than to promote and protect? And so if we had the opportunity to go up there, we did it, and we made our points known, and we made a difference up in Tallahassee. We made a difference in Washington, and so I thought that was fun. And I heard stories about that and how people got to do that and make these changes and save people's businesses and livelihoods by just little tweaks of the rules and different things like that, or one way or the other. And so to promote the industry and protect the industry that I have taken so much from in my short time here, I wanted to do that.
Okay.
And my mentor Ed and several other folks I saw do that, and I said, and they said, what, you can do this. We think that you would make a good president.
And you felt like the 1 year you were there, you had a good grip on what the position was, what it entailed?
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve. Like I said, it's a good experience. There's some tough things too, just like anything else. You take the good with the bad, but you work hard through it. And we had a real curveball with the hurricane and trying to help folks out after that. That was a tough one. But no, it was something I wanted to do, take a leadership position and figure it out. Right, and shout out to so many of the other past presidents who were right there at any moment, giving me their cell number. Hey, anything you need,
that's what's cool.
You're in the club now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And anything you need, we're here for you. And to have these, I think of Joe Shalone, who many people know from the foliage industry down here. I don't really know that guy, but he came up to me out of left field at a chapter meeting and said, "You're going to be president. Here's my cell phone. You call me if you have any questions." And I'm like, that's amazing. This guy's a legend.
Yeah.
Living legend of the foliage industry, right?
Yeah.
And he's coming up to me, Eric, at a meeting to offer his support, unsolicited. And that was amazing to me.
And you could probably call him and ask him any question, and he'll sit there for 30 minutes and break it down for you.
Yeah, and everybody was so supportive. So I wasn't ever flying blind with anything like that. There's very good people behind you. The FNGLA staff is fantastic. They're the best staff with the most experience in the whole country for this type of thing. So you're not exactly walking a high wire most of the time. It's a couple times maybe, but no, the support staff that's there at FNGLA, our new CEO Tal Coley has been fantastic. But then the past presidents and all my friends, my wife, shout out to my wife Rachel, with 2 little kids on the home front and doing all this stuff at the same time. It was challenging at times, but she was right there with me. So it's been a lot of fun. And it's been very rewarding.
And your position there is not compensated, correct?
Correct.
So this chair that he sat in, guys, was zero money in return, 0 ROI. No checks. This is all based off of the love and passion, and that's how most people are in the FNGLA. That I know there are people that sit there that they do get a paycheck. Shout out to Billy Deal.
Yeah, my boy Billy Deal.
Billy Deal won't show up and be like, "Bye, I'm sick." Nah, I love you, Billy. I'm messing with you. I had to bring your name up. For those of you guys that don't know who Billy Dio is, he's the one that puts all the shows together, and he also does other things behind the scenes. But huge shout out to Mr. Billy.
Yeah, the whole staff is fantastic.
The whole staff. And now that we're here, if someone is listening, they want to get involved, they're like, man, I have a bunch of dreams. I'm excited for the future. I love the green industry. I'm pumped. I'm creating things. I want to create more. I want to be around like-minded individuals. How do I get there? Eric, tell me, how do I do it? How can someone get involved into the FNGLA?
They find their local chapter. They can go to the website. And so wherever you're living around the state of Florida, depending on where you're at geographically, you're going to have a chapter. Okay. Down here is Miami-Dade chapter, one of the biggest by volume of just members and just size in general. A lot of, obviously, tropical foliage capital of the world here in Homestead. But get involved locally. Find your chapter. Reach out to those people. Attend meetings. You don't necessarily have to become chapter president right out of the gate, right?
And I think you don't have to be on there either to come.
Right, just
if
attend
you want
the meetings.
Show up to a meeting one time, I think you can.
Yep, you become a member, a couple $100, and then you just go to the local events. You start meeting people, asking questions, and you learn so much going to the chapter meetings because usually they're at a nursery or a greenhouse or a company that wants to show off. And that was something I really liked at the Front Runners chapter and elsewhere is most of the times the meetings are at another operation, and they bring their competitors in to show it off.
Yeah.
And so you learn a lot. Like you don't get that in a lot of other industries,
No,
right?
you
You think
don't.
Ford's inviting the GM guys over to break bread and have barbecue and beers, right? That's not happening, So, but that's very real in FNGLA.
Yeah.
Some of our best
This
friends
whole
were
industry.
our closest competitors, but we shared.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the red buds, my friend Justin did, and vice versa. So, but you meet a lot of people.
It's not competition. Like when you're in this industry.
Yeah, there's competition,
Right.
or like what traditional competition is, obviously. But I don't know, it's just different, man. Like,
it's
like
much
the
more
guy down
family.
the street. Let's say I do 40,000 podocarpus, 7-gallon. The guy down the street did 10. He could run out and need more, or I can run out and need more, or mine are 3 feet and his are 4. My client needs 4. I go buy what he has.
Spec, yep.
It's so much more than that. Or it can be like, hey, Willie, bro, I'm in it. You know how many calls we get? Buddies, they'll be like, dude, I'm looking for this. Do your boys know where it's at? And then I'll call the boys. Hey, boys, you know where this is at? Yeah. Hey, look, here it is, man. Handouts. Shake hands. There's just so much of that love that you don't get anywhere else. Like, hey, sign this invoice. Pay me later. What?
You're exactly right.
Shake my hand. Hey, how much is that? $100,000. Hey, dude, I got you Friday. No worries, man. I love you, bro. God bless. And a shake hand, and that's it. They won $100,000, and I hope he shows up on Friday. Like things like that happen here that don't happen anywhere else.
It's the sharing of information and customers and opportunities. I've never seen anything like it other than this. And to your point, hey, your guy down the street, he needs 4 footers. Show
And that happens with the growers. That doesn't happen. Let's say with the chemical companies, that might happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be sharing products. I know they do. They buy from each other. So I know during COVID, like one guy bought 5 pallets of whatever it is, a herbicide.
Right.
The other guy was running low. He bought a pallet off Johnny. Things like that happen as well. I've seen that happen.
We work with other companies. We know that some of our stuff, they might have a product that we don't have something similar to, or they
so you
partner
bring it in.
together really well.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't necessarily bring it in to sell it, but we would recommend their stuff.
Recommend it.
And sometimes we have people that are pretty close competitors. But we know that we have the part A, they have the B, and that solves the equation.
100%.
So we work with several companies to figure those things out because we don't have all the answers. We know that.
But that's what's cool about this industry.
Exactly.
The industry as a whole, we're giving, for the most part. Some people aren't, but for the most part, But for the most part, you get people that want to see other people grow, and you want to see people, give. A lot of people do give out here. You'll be amazed, man. You can go up to that guy that looks super intimidating that owns 500 acres, and you can ask him any question, and he might just sit down and blow your mind.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the return on relationship.
There you go.
Everybody's sharing ideas and opportunities, and hey, you got 3 footers, I need 4, and you know what?
All of
2
that.
weeks later or 2 months later, they're going to call you for something,
Yeah.
and people don't see that. They can't imagine that it would be like that, but it is most definitely like that. I've seen it in several parts of the state where people are sharing and developing these opportunities together, knowing that if you give something, you're going to get something. It's natural law, and nowhere is it more prevalent than in our
Than in
industry.
our industry.
It's amazing. It's
It's
beautiful.
crazy.
No, we appreciate you too. Before I forget, coming up to us at the FNGLA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You're like, yo, if you guys need anything from us, just
Yeah,
like
that's
the
another
past
thing, yeah.
presidents, we
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
I remember
To
that.
give him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric came up to us the first time we met Eric. We had reached out. We had talked a couple times back and forth to DM. I think one time on the phone, and Eric already knew that we were here to give back. And we saw him at the, I think it was the landscape show in
Landscape
Orlando.
show, yeah. When I was
We're
president.
signing up, and you're like, you come and you tap, and you're like, oh, I know that shirt.
Yeah.
And you tapped us on the shoulder, and then we had an interview later that day.
Yep.
And the opportunities are created. But I have one question for you, the last question
Sure.
that we ask everybody here. What do you see for the future of the green industry, and the most important, the youth or people that are getting into the industry?
That's a fantastic question, and something we try to address all the time, not only from BioSafe, but in a big way from FNGLA with youth programs and high school engagement and things like that. I've spoken to several high schoolers about careers in horticulture, whether it's in production or landscape or what have you. That it's a very viable and rewarding industry, and demand is very high right now, so that's a good thing. But I see a little bit of consolidation, right? Just like is the case in every industry. But I also, with that, see
Consolidation meaning?
people getting bought out.
Okay.
But that is never new. That's
What do
happened
you
forever.
see, Eric? What do you see?
I don't know any specifics, but it just seems every year there's a lot of moving parts, right?
There
Things
is.
happen.
There is.
Um,
And there's a lot of older guys that are getting out.
And in age, people phase out. Their kids don't want to do it. Things like that, and that's understandable. It's not easy work all the time, but I think with that creates lots of opportunity. We have the internet and these internet plant sales because of COVID and what happened there. The foliage sales went to the moon, and it was you couldn't even hold
Do
on.
you guys
to it.
have numbers on that? You guys have any numbers? I know you guys put out,
yeah.
like the FNGLA puts out like yearly sales every 3 years. I think they do it.
There's surveys of horticulture that the USDA does, and we partner with some stuff from time to time to show that for Florida specific stuff. We have those numbers, but nationally, it's a national thing. We see the demands go up big time in Florida because we have the production capacity already here. But I see there being more opportunities really going forward. Some consolidation, but that's only natural in business, as a mature business as we are in industry. But with the internet and the fact that with houseplants and foliage and different things like that, orchids, there's so many ways to start small in a little baby greenhouse in your garage or in your yard, and then that scales and scales. That's very real. And
Very real.
The internet plant sales have just gone bananas. And I'm sure some of it has tapered off a little bit with the COVID kind of waning, right? But people love plants. You beautify people's homes and offices and businesses and schools and everything. That's not going away, right? And so it's how do you find those opportunities to get involved, to go work at a place, to start your own business, to start a podcast and bring people in and have cool conversations and talk
real.
about the industry and promote things and ideas. All these things matter, and that's only going to grow and grow and grow, I think.
Yeah, I love what you said. You hit a bunch of points that I relate to 100%. And like me being down here in South Florida, that I see a lot of just everything. I've been here my whole life. There's a lot of the older folks that are out. Some of them are out because they realize that, hey, I only have X amount of time left. Let me go do what I've always worked hard for to want to go do.
Right.
And then some of them do pass away. During the, I died right here. This is what I love doing, which is awesome as well. But it does create an immense amount of opportunity for those that see the opportunity and that are there to be able to grab it. From, let's say, a specific plant that only 5 people grow. And one guy sold off and the other guy died off, and it leaves 3, but then the quality's not there. So now you can come in and blow up with taking over the other guys and just growing a beautiful quality.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously that's a lot harder than to do than just me talking about it, because there's so much that goes into that, having a nursery and growing something. But the people that have the capacity to do so, I know myself personally 3 guys that all together they make up over 100 acres, and they're out. They cashed out. They're selling their real estate. They're selling their, these aren't specific growers of specific items that's going to put a hit on people, but it is less real estate that will be out here for the growers, and less, for the country at the end of the day,
right.
for the country. But it brings in more of opportunities.
think about that with the development. Obviously, in Florida, we're developing as fast as we possibly can, good or bad. Doesn't matter what you think about that, really. But some of these people are going out of business to sell to development, or they're selling something else or whatever. It doesn't matter. But with all the development going on, the demand for plants is only going to continue to grow. And this is something I told those high school kids: is you see all these subdivisions going up in these different communities across the state. It's nothing new. People have been moving here in droves since the 20s, right? But they're going to need landscapes for their yard. They're going to need bedding plants, and they're going to need landscape services, and they're going to want house plants, and they're going to want this and that. So one does not negate the other.
No, it doesn't.
It will lessen the production capacity, but guess what? Somebody's got to fill that gap.
No, but listen, man, we're innovators. Look what happened during COVID. Like as a community, we grew so much.
Agreed.
Like, to get somebody to sell me a payment used to be like, breaking their teeth out of their mouth. And over COVID now, Zell's, we'll sell it over.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
great.
problem. PayPal, this, that.
Like, I don't want to touch your check. Thank God, finally, Zell, send it over here. There's so many things that have been created that us as humans, we counteract to. And that's what I see in the future. Okay, let's say there's 10,000, let's say there's 100,000 acres in Florida for agriculture. And let's say it gets cut by half. Okay, we're innovators. We're going to figure it out. We'll start doing 3-story nurseries.
Yeah.
We'll run lights all night. I don't know.
that.
We'll figure it out.
They're doing that with food crops now.
They're doing it with food crops.
Tomatoes,
Indoor.
strawberries, lettuce.
Indoor.
Big time.
Hydroponic, whatever.
We
So
work with lots of them.
there's a lot of uncharted territory that someone might get scared and say it's over. It's never over, guys.
Yeah,
it's
never
over
over
for someone that doesn't have a mind to create.
Right.
Because if you have a mind to create, nothing's over.
Right.
The party's just getting started.
I agree completely.
So I feel like we have a lot more to grow, and the tighter we all get, the tighter everything is for us, the less land we have, the more restrictions we have. Hold on, guys, because we're going to come. That's only going to fuel us up more.
Yeah.
The octane will go from 87 to like 101, and we'll just put higher octane in the tank because that's how we are built.
Well, there's still, there's lots and lots of land. There might be less citrus, but is that new opportunity for nursery land?
Yeah,
Is
100%.
that this? There's all these moving parts, and like you said, people want to just jump on the negativity train because of the news or this or that, and it's over. It's never over.
It's never over.
It's never over.
It's never over. It's over for someone that stops searching.
Yes, exactly right. There's just too much opportunity. Like with the companies like BioSafe, with the association, with all the growers, with this, with that. There's just so much. There's so much, and to have a negative attitude about it, there's no opportunities, there's no this, there's that. I feel bad for those people.
They need to change their glasses.
Exactly right.
What's the new Apple glasses, Eddie?
The Vision Pro.
The Vision Pro. They need Vision Pros on.
I'll leave this to y'all.
Hey, Eric, man, God bless you, dude.
Yeah,
Was there
thank you
anything
very
else you
much.
wanted to say?
No, I thank you. Thank you both for having me on. I've thoroughly enjoyed following the show and the videos and the content. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on here. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool studio. This is fun. We're joking around and having a good time talking shop. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Would love to come back down the road whenever, talk about this or that.
100%.
Support you guys any way we can. So thank you for what you do for the industry, because it means a lot to me. It means a lot to a lot of people. So
Thank you, man. Thank you, Eric. You already know. Blessing, guys. We have Eric Smith here, guys. BioSafe, FNGLA, and Eric Smith. We're going to brand his name. He's got a star at the end of his IG. Guys, for all the information today, you're going to get it in the link down below, regardless of where you're listening to it or watching it. We thank you guys. We love you. Like always, we want to continue to connect you with professionals in the industry and create opportunities for you guys. I hope you see it as much as we see it, and we're going to continue to grow. All right, guys, I love you. God bless. Stay
Strive
safe.
for improvement. Time for the blueprint. Minds to elevate, thrive, and demonstrate, planting a movement. Sow the seeds, educate the flourish, building up the team. Our network with purpose. Industry is green, only scratch the surface. Know this call is deep, nobody gon' outwork us. Yeah, we chasing greatness, trying to give the code. Moving up with patience, foundation stone. Doing what it takes, we're here to break the mold. This for anyone who wanna level up. Let's grow.